everybody, I'm Alex here with co-host Brooke, and we've returned for a new episode of Mental Health Mondays.
Today we have a special member of the staff on our show, Mr. Kelman, a teacher and a counselor at Hampton High School.
The topic at hand today is how can you help someone who's struggling? We're very happy to have Mr. Kelman here with us today. There will be mentions of suicide in this episode, so if you feel uncomfortable at any time, make sure you head down to the guidance center where there's a comfortable space for you. Mr. Kelman, thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me. You're
Awesome.
doing really good things here.
Thank you for being on the show. So we'll get started with the first question.
So the first one is, why did you decide to start counseling? What got you into it?
So many people already know this, but when I was 24, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. And because of that, I had to go through pretty rigorous treatment. Had to leave my job, etc., and get chemo every day for about 3 months. It wasn't until then that I started really experiencing some mental health issues. Anxiety, depression with the testing and constant treatment, and isolation. And after that experience, I decided that I really wanted to help other people going through their tough times, specifically young men. So I started counseling with the Canadian Cancer Society for about 2 years in peer counseling, and then an opportunity came up to become a CCPA certified counselor, and that's where I am today at Hampton High.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so our next question is, what is your role as a counselor?
So if you want like the textbook definition, you can go on CCPA online and they'll give you like the textbook definition. I think it makes more sense just to explain it this way, and that is like everyone has dark times or struggles through life, whether that may be a mental illness or a situation or just a struggle that you're experiencing. So really my role as a counselor is to be someone that you can trust, that will listen to you, can help you through those tough times. The cool thing about us counselors is that we've actually been trained in specific techniques and ways to go about helping your mental health issues and struggles. So that's basically what we do. And we can also help you create goals, get back on track, and move forward that way.
Oh, that's awesome. So if anybody in the school wanted to just meet with you and talk with you, how would they go about doing that?
There's multiple ways you could do it. Probably the easiest way would be to go to the office and Miss Rankin could set up an appointment. You can also just come see me in my room or the welding shop, because that's usually where I'm at. Pop by and just let me know you want to talk. Or you could email us as well.
Okay.
Or reach out through Teams. Now we have Teams.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So the next question is, what are some signs that someone's struggling with their mental health?
So you, as a group, have done a really good job on this, describing how mental health is a spectrum. So sometimes we go towards the negative end and the struggling end of the spectrum, or sometimes you're really good, really healthy mental health-wise. So signs that someone may be going down the wrong end of the spectrum, really it's tough because it changes from person to person. It can either be feeling more anxious, more depressed, a loss in interest in things that you like doing. Changes in personality in general. They can manifest as physical symptoms, so sometimes more feeling stomach upset, headaches, etc. It could also be something like more risk-taking behavior, isolating yourself from those that you care about and want to be with. So really it ranges from person to person. If I was to recommend something, I'd just say, just be aware if you notice any changes in the personality or friendships of your friends, and that's usually a sign that you might want to check in and see how they're doing.
Okay, so our next question for you is, how can we help someone that is struggling?
I think one of the best ways to kind of remember it is there's an acronym in mental health first aid, which is ALGEE, so ALGEE. And what it stands for is assess for A, which just basically means check in. So check in with your friends from time to time, like the last question we mentioned, if you notice anything out of the normal, just to check in. The L stands for listen, empathically, so basically just be there for the person. If they want to talk, listen and be supportive. If they don't want to talk, then just being there with them could make a world of difference. G is to give support, basically, for whatever they're going through, whatever that may look like, whether it be just being with them or taking them to certain resources or connecting with people, so just to give them that support. And then the last two, E and E, are both just encourage. So two different ways. One means to encourage, just basically to try and get that person up to do things, to make them feel better, to encourage them to use basically the strategies that they would already have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. That's a really great acronym.
And then the last one is just encourage to seek professional help.
Yeah.
So basically, so check in. L would be listen empathically or be there for them. G is to support them in what they're going through. E is to encourage them to use what they have already for the resilience to try to help themselves mentally. And then the last one is to encourage them to seek professional help if they need it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the last one is, why is it important to offer help when people seem like they need it?
Yeah, so with mental health, there are things that we call risk factors, and then there's things that we call protective factors. So risk factors could be genetics, if you had someone in your family with depression, anxiety, etc. It could be environmental, what home life is like or school life, etc. Past traumas or stuff like that. They can possibly all put you at risk for developing a mental illness. Then we have protective factors, which basically fight against the risk factors to keep you in a good mental state, again, if we think of the spectrum. The cool thing about this is there's a lot of research on this, and one of the very best protective factors is having a social system, like a social support system. So just being there for your friends, whatever they need, talking with them, listening to them, that social support's going to go a long way to keep them in a good state of mental health.
All right, thank you. Well, Mr. Kellerman, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you taking your time to answer these questions and share some of your knowledge with the school. So we're really grateful that you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Welcome to another misconception session.
Alex, what do you think the largest misconception is about helping people who are struggling?
I think that the largest misconception is that everybody needs the same type or the same amount of help. Each person's experience is different. For instance, while some people might need help through consistent one-on-one counseling, other people might just need a friend to talk to every now and then. What are some other misconceptions that we should address, Brooke?
Another misconception is the belief that offering help will only make things worse. When we offer help to other people rather than assuming that they'll be better off without our help, those people are more likely to feel comfortable and seen as validated.
So, Mr. Kellerman, we know that there are some huge misconceptions surrounding men's mental health. Could you just comment a bit on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that's something that I'm very passionate about and want to help with. Some alarming statistics that are coming out right now is nearly 75% of suicides are male, and men are 3 times more likely to die from suicide than women. I think this comes down to a misconception or stigma around men's mental health, that men are strong and tough and deal with their own problems, and it takes a lot to be vulnerable. One thing I'd like to say to the guys out there is that it actually takes more strength to be vulnerable than to hold it inside. And the cool thing about vulnerability is vulnerability breeds vulnerability. So when you come in, it opens up the avenue for you to get help, and also it opens up for other friends in your group that may be struggling that don't want to open up. Once you open up, that opens up avenues for not only yourself to get help, but those other people that you care about.
Yeah, that's a really important message, and thank you so much for sharing that.
And I'd like to say, if there are any men out there that want to speak particularly to a male counselor, I'm around. Come on down anytime.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's misconception session. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
You all enjoyed today's show, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Mental Health Monday. We want to give you the last reminder that you're not alone, no matter what you're going through.
Remind yourself that it is okay to not be okay. Thanks for watching, and another huge thank you goes out to Mr. Kellerman for joining us. We'll see you next month.